go on. The idea is basically to develop your confidence or to give you more ideas on probably what you are doing as we go on in terms of this project. So that is what we will start with. So I think I will go by the list. Let me just get somewhere. Okay, so this is Victor. Let me just make everyone a presenter so that then things are good. Actually, I just need to change option, everyone, no restriction. Okay, so I think I've made everyone a presenter. We are 40 people. So anyone can present basically. So let's start with, I think I have, you can hear me, everyone? Okay. So let's start with according to the list. So we'll go according to the list that I provided for. Let me try to, oops. So is Victor in? Let me just check. Victor, you can start presenting. If Victor is not in, then we can move to the next and the next like that. So Victor, are you in? I cannot trace you here. So Victor?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you able to, do you have something like a PowerPoint on your side?
No, I have a problem about, I don't use Windows. So I
Uh-huh.
don't have Skype for Business on my laptop. The other alternative was it's paid, so I can't access it.
What? The other alternative?
Paid, so I can't
The,
use it.
do you have an account with Office
Yes,
365?
yes.
I think then you can load using your, what are you using? You're using the normal Skype.
On my phone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can be able to load.
I don't know. It's going to be, but okay. Cool. I don't think I'll be able to load it.
Okay, fine. Then we
Yeah.
can, why are you using the phone instead of a laptop?
Oh, I don't have Windows. I use Linux. So Skype for Business is not available for Linux.
But you can partition your machine, maybe.
This laptop isn't. It can't.
Fine. I think let's maybe move to the next person. Then we'll come back to you later. Maybe let me just think of a solution.
Okay.
The other solution is to go to the next to use something else. But so let's go to Walter.
Hello.
Hello. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes.
I have a PowerPoint.
Can you see the place where you have present?
I see sharing content.
Yes, yes, yes. Then now you can actually present PowerPoint. Let me see if I have allowed you. Are you a part of the presenters? Yeah, I think so. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. Are you able to get?
I'm not seeing the option for Nini for adding my Nini for presenting.
Just a minute. Let me just get your name. Young Walter. So, it could be that. Yeah, I need to make you a presenter. Can you be able to see it now?
Yes.
Okay. you can go ahead, Walter.
Yeah, so what I was thinking,
Mm-hmm.
so when I was looking at most hospitals in the country, usually you have there are not being enough doctors in the hospital. Like when you go, you can find there are very long lines, mostly in public hospitals. I mean, you find very long queues, and once you reach there, the doctor doesn't have enough time to actually check on you and see what your actual problem is. They have to try and rush through to get able to get time to serve the next patient. They have to, and sometimes you find that they don't even have when there's a medical emergency, like let's say someone needs an operation or gets hurt, where the doctor is when the doctor is needed, they might not actually be able to be free to go and sort that out while they're sorting other patients, and they can't just leave a patient who they are already helping. Finally, I was also seeing you find doctors like would like to. They usually don't prefer to work in these public hospitals. They'd like to go and open their own small clinic. So you find most of the time when you need a doctor, maybe he's in his at his own small clinic. So like they don't actually aren't even present at the time. So both of these instances can lead to situations which can easily be prevented, as I was saying. So my proposed solution is that I think that we can make a system that once a patient goes to the hospital, the nurse, usually when you go, your symptoms are first taken by a nurse. So what if instead of just your symptoms being taken, your vitals, I mean not your symptoms, your vitals are taken by a nurse, like your blood pressure and what. So what if after taking your vitals, a nurse could just enter your symptoms into a specific system, which is there at the hospital. So let's say you can say you have a headache, you have a stomachache, sweating, breathing, whatever it is, and with the symptoms which you present, the system can prescribe medical tests which you need to be done for you to ascertain the disease. Let's say usually you find malaria and typhoid usually have close to similar symptoms. So now the system will now give you will now prescribe that the person will be tested for malaria and typhoid. So after that, you go to the medical lab. When you go to the lab now, the lab technicians will ascertain the disease which you have. Like the doctors at the lab, usually there you don't find such long lines. But so when you're there now, they can ascertain a disease which you have from the test which were needed by the system, which the system prescribed. After that, after the symptoms have been ascertained by the lab, again now the results of the test can be put back into the system. Now that they're certain of the disease based on the disease which was said by the specific system, based on the tests which were recommended by the system. Once these results are given to the system, now the system I was proposing again can be programmed now based on confirmed diseases. It can now give out prescribed treatments for the specific diseases. Now let's say once it is confirmed that you have malaria, not typhoid, it can give the necessary treatment. It can give the necessary treatment that needs to be undertaken. Let's say the medicine, how much you need to take per day, for how long, but only once the disease has been ascertained by lab test. Now this solution will be able to free up doctors now. So doctors will only be used when necessary, like let's say there's a medical emergency such as somebody has gotten into an accident, they need operations and such and whatnot. Now they will be more freer to go help these other ones, so that these other cases for symptoms and such can easily be remedied by the system. Finally, I was proposing that the system can even have an online dashboard that allows for collaboration of these doctors. So let's say there's a disease which maybe at one point one hospital has never come face to face with. So let's say the example of corona. Corona, when it was starting in China, most of these other hospitals had never been presented with such symptoms. So that allowed for spreading, as people did not know what it is. When you go to a new hospital, when you go to a new country where people haven't actually faced the symptoms, you couldn't be sure what it is. But now with this system, it will allow for collaboration, so that when the when you come into a new hospital with such symptoms, they will be able to see what is there and be able to give you assistance. Yeah, that was my proposed project.
Then I think my question will be, how will you take the vitals?
The vitals, usually when you go into a hospital, before you see a doctor, there's a nurse who takes your vitals. So I was proposing that the nurses are usually there. So instead of just waiting to go to a doctor, the nurse who takes your vitals might also input your symptoms into the system.
Yeah, but then now what have you eliminated? If still the vitals are being taken by the nurse,
usually
you can as well go to. Could you like automate even that process? But also the other thing that I think maybe you need to consider is the other hospitals. I think you need to focus on a specific thing that you are delivering. Like for instance, if it is the expert system, then if you are doing a home self-diagnosis, then that would be a different thing, because then you can provide an end-to-end so that people can maybe test themselves from home before they, and maybe do a self-prescription, because that's what you are trying to do. I think you're saying the system can be able to prescribe a particular medication and so on. So I think the crucial part will be probably to be able to customize it to our home care scenario, because the profession of the medical professions does not allow, at least in Kenya, does not allow the aspect of self-prescription when you are at the hospital, because there are other things that doctors look at that cannot be easily automated. But if you are looking at a solution that can help, like for instance, because there are so many people who do self-diagnosis, then you can develop an expert system, but then the vitals, you have to connect your system to the vitals, and then it's able to give the diagnosis, like probably you are suffering from this particular thing, maybe go get some Panadols or whatever, or if it can't determine, then it can tell the so-called patient, the home patient, to basically seek further medical attention, because maybe the thing is now serious. Yeah, I think that's the way I will look at it, because the way of entering, what you have described about entering the information and so on, if you go to Aga Khan, for instance, they have an end-to-end kind of, even doctors have to enter everything, and then you have all that information already automated. So other than now redoing the same thing, maybe if you focus on home care, I think that will be better.
Thank you. I will.
Good. Thank you very much. So the next person was Mwangi Naomi. Naomi, are you there?
Yes. Hello. Hi. Morning.
Morning.
I share my screen.
Yes, please.
Okay.
You see, we said this course you are going to be the lecturers, so.
Okay. Okay, so my project is a personal finance tracker. So the problem statement is currently a lot of people are having problems monitoring and tracking their spending, as not many people can afford financial advisors to help them plan on how to spend their cash and what to prioritize on. So as a result, people end up having to write the whole process down, and it can be cumbersome and time wasting. So my proposed solution is an application that basically gets your M-Pesa text messages, and based on the content of your text message, it can be able to categorize the category which the specific transaction belongs to, if it's food, if it's utilities, if it's saving, so that the user can eventually be able to have a visual to see, I've spent this amount on food, I've spent this amount on utilities. And basically, the app, initially you're supposed to set targets so that if I spend beyond, like if my spending exceeds the target that I send, the app should be able to alert you so that you can know I'm spending probably too much on entertainment. And it can also advise you, probably because, let's say, I spent, why not try use that cash for food? So yeah, that's my idea.
Okay. Then how? So how will it know that this is more of a necessity and this one is not?
So basically, based on the transaction details that the M-Pesa text normally sends you, I'm planning to use a text classification algorithm. So there are keywords that can tell whether the certain text is a utility or not. But in the event where the application cannot be able to classify something, I'm planning to make the user be in a position where they can classify that text. And the next time, let's say the application comes across that transaction detail, the user doesn't need to set it again because the application would have picked it.
But I thought that in M-Pesa transactions, all it's written is the name of the person you're. For instance, if I am trying to, if I pay for, let's say right now we are, I think, doing everything. So if I pay for tomatoes, then I will send to this particular person 100 shillings. And then if I do this, and so that is a text, I guess, that is going to be shown.
So I'm targeting Lipa na M-Pesa because Lipa na M-Pesa will be sent to a merchant. So in the event it can show like something groceries, but in the event where it won't be able to tell whether it's groceries or anything, the user can be able to place it in a class, and eventually the application will pick it next time.
Yeah, but what are you using the M-Pesa app?
No, I'm not using M-Pesa app.
No, but have you checked on how it works? Because it gives you the, I think the one for iPhone doesn't give you a lot of information, but I see like the one for my M-Pesa app for Android gives you like the total of what you have spent and to this particular person, the amount that you have sent to this, and then the amount that you have received from that. So how would that add onto your work?
So the goal is to basically help someone budget. So if I set that maybe for next week, my goal is to spend this amount of cash on maybe this thing, spend this amount of cash on food, spend this amount of cash on certain utilities. So based on the spendings that have already happened, it can be able to, you can be able to tell whether you're far from your goal or not.
I think maybe you will need to not gotten clearly the maybe you will have to clarify a bit how that differs with. I know that maybe this is not the, but I know that there are so many apps on the store that gives you, like, for instance, spend 20% on this and then 20% on saving, and then then it classifies you and gives you the kind of weightage. I would prefer that you focus more on, if that could be my advice, you focus more on pre-spending than after spending. Like, for instance, if you can be able to advise someone on how they need to, like, given a particular amount of earning, then this is what they need to spend in that, and then they can enter the numbers that that are relevant to that they will be able to be spending on that particular part. So kind of like the budgeting that we do for organizations. But anyway,
Okay.
so you could try to check that, and then another possibility also you could do is to see if you can do an app that is able to budget for small businesses, because then that way you can make a little bit more impact than personal. Like, for instance,
Okay.
the Mama Mboga, how can he budget for expenses and income, and then it can keep on giving the Mama Mboga, let's say, every day, how much profit have you made, how much did you spend, what percentage did you do this, and so on. And then if it can provide that in a mobile, and you connect that onto maybe a barcode or something like that that reads automatically the amount that has been bought or the amount that have been sold, I think that will be, I think it will add, it is the same thing, but it will add more impact if you focus on a business objective.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good.
Yes, thank you.
Then we can go to the next person. Maybe we might be going at a lower pace. Herbert?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine.
So
Thank you.
You guys.
Yeah, let me share my slide.
Yes, please.
That was nerve-wracking, but it's actually giving me ideas. You may mute.
Okay. Go on, Herbert.
Yes, can you see the slide?
Yes, it's loading. Yes, yes. I think you should have put the slides, not the desktop.
Sorry.
Good. Because the desktop, we might see many things that you don't want us to see.
Yes, true. My project is about creating an online system for for primary students that will be making it easy for students to learn online, especially primary students. So the problem was, like when students kids are trying to read maybe contents from online, they don't usually understand everything they're reading or interpret what they're reading. So my proposed solution was to create an online system that will be making it easy for students to just get what they are reading by using animations and some small type of games, so that the student will make sure that he or she understand what he's reading. So yeah, that was my idea, to just create an online system that will help students.
Yeah, but then you need to be specific on what exactly in the online. You have mentioned many things like animations, you have mentioned games. So maybe you could look at, I don't know whether you have access, but maybe I can share the one that was done by a gentleman called Kennedy last year, which he was using virtual reality to basically teach science courses. So for your case, if you're using then a game or you're using automatic animation generation, then we need to see the innovation part. Like you need to focus on what exactly you are delivering that will make it better. So other than just the normal online system. I don't know whether it makes sense. Yeah. So basically you need to look at a particular technical thing. Like for instance, if you're doing the animations, then how are the animations auto-generated by the teachers, for instance? So like for instance, if I have a PowerPoint or a set of texts, can that be automatically be converted into an animation by an computing expert, so that then you remember you want to sell this product, so you want to be able to give the opportunity to the teachers to auto-generate this, and then the kids to also be able to learn and work and maybe make it enjoyable and stuff like that. So that's, I think, what I would say. But there is a lot of literature on kids learning and stuff like that. So then that's one of the things that you can check on how to improve.
Yes.
Good. Are you in Kenya?
Yeah, sure. I'm in Nairobi.
Okay. Your name sounds like you Kenyan, no?
No.
From which country?
From Rwanda.
Rwanda. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Thank you very much on that.
Yeah, thank you.
So we can go to the next person, is Derek. So the rest can be getting like what the comments that I'm giving, so that then I think you can try to improve on what you have. Derek is doing an intelligent e-commerce. Derek, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Hello.
Yes, I think there is something wrong with your background.
I don't think I can be able to share my content.
So maybe we can go to the next.
or I can just talk about it because I'm using a phone.
You're using your phone?
Yeah.
Is that what you
Yeah,
want?
like for instance, like an examining platform where I can write my where someone can write I can write the code, and then the other person who is going to review, like there is that synchronization, like the teacher is the only one who can be able to view and so on, and then later I can be able to check what the student was doing, and then maybe I can mark and then submit. But then the platform is able to give the, like for instance, if I tell you write for me an example of a bank account class, then like the same questions that you're asked in an exam, but then now this to be real practical, and then I can be able to on the side, because even when you use GitHub, basically the thing is that I have to download and what have you, and then check.
Okay.
Like for instance, a situation whereby like I will get like when I log into my account, I will see all the what the students have submitted, just like the way we have the e-learning kind of stuff, but then it provides the background. I don't know.
Okay, I'll look into that. I'll look into that.
Yeah, okay, fine. Good. Thank you very much. So let's move to the next person. Tyrone? Are you there?
Okay, morning.
Morning.
I'm just trying to share my screen.
Just go to PowerPoint.
PowerPoint. Huh? Okay. Okay, so the idea I had was,
Yes.
can you guys hear me? The idea I had
Yes,
was
yes.
for a mobile scanner for the visually impaired or the visually prejudiced. So we have a state where you have fairly a number of visually impaired individuals who lack the ability to, correctly identify the money they have, be it banknotes or bank coins of any type of currency. So in this state, you have fraudulent individuals. So these guys have to rely on to identify for them the money they have, be it they're making payments or receiving money. You can't always trust the person next to you to correctly identify the money they have. Or in another case, they constantly need trustful individuals with whom they can handle their money. So that's sort of the state analysis I had in my mind. So the suggested solution I had is, the rise in smartphone technology, which is actually cheap, that has cameras and offers mobility. You can use this to the advantage of image processing using a bunch of image processing libraries, be it in computer vision, in deep learning, or you can use classification models that can allow the visually impaired individual to take images of the banknote of the currency they have, and each scan and identify the money. So what we'll be using, since they are visually impaired, is we'll have voice inputs from them to activate the application, and a graphic input that's from the app, from the camera, to identify the note. And with this kind of model, you eliminate the need for on standards, and them constantly needing to have an individual whom they trust to help them identify the banknotes they have. So that's my presentation.
Okay. So you will be changing text to voice?
Yes. When you identify the notes, you have to give back voice input, and also to activate the application. I'm guessing voice input can also be helpful because you don't want them to have time flipping through their phone looking for the application, and they can just like talk into it to open the app.
Why don't you make it automated? Like right now, you see, since we are using it's actually a very good project, but why don't you make it like automated, not to talk about the cash, because right now you can survive actually without the hard currency. So where maybe I will go into, this blind person will go into maybe a supermarket, and then say bread and this and this and this, and then it will like instead of them entering the code number and so on, then you can do the voice. It can instruct what to do in terms of voice, and then the other person also can say if what your bought is 50,000. Will you authorize? Then the voice recognition kind of stuff, and then it can convert the voice, right? Like for instance, it can convert the like the person can actually survive on only voice.
Okay.
Transactions, yeah. So that then it can actually do a transfer from the account. So like for instance, if I want to send to my my worker or whatever, then I just say, okay, transfer this to this whatever, to this number, and then it asks me, please enter the unique whatever, or the unique signal or whatever, and then it can recognize that voice and then use that to do the transaction. So like they can do everything that we can do, except for them, they will use voice instead of touch.
Okay. I think I get the idea. Okay. Thank you.
Good. Thank you very much. Then we go to the next person, Roseanne. Is this is the project you had? I hope I didn't confuse, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's okay. Good.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, it's loading, I think. Just try again.
Okay, it's connecting. Just a second.
Yeah, it's connecting.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay, so now my project is social media analytics to recommend a personalized gift. So so currently, okay, the process of gift giving happens all the time, like in every situation. Like for example, if there's any occasion like a birthday party or graduation, wedding, like literally anything, people usually expect to be given gifts. But then these gifts, like it depends on like who what determines whether someone will like the gift will depend on the person's like interests and likes. Yeah. So, and most of the time we don't even know what these people usually want. So now what is currently happening is we usually guess the ideal gift to give someone based on the knowledge you have about this person, which can be misguided, by the way. And it also depends on the budget that you have, you know. So now what I currently you find the online gift shops that tell you that they help you to pick out the perfect gift, but what they actually do is suggest the most purchased gifts or the most common gifts for a certain occasion. Like for example, you find it's Valentine's, they will suggest that you buy this person like flowers, you know. They will just suggest based on the occasion, like this is roughly what this person would like at this particular time. But it may be different. Like there are girls who actually really hate flowers, but then you'll find someone bringing flowers for them. So now my proposed solution is to use data from a social media platform. Currently, I'm working on getting access to Instagram. So now, and I'll use that data to create user profile for the receiver of the gifts. Like for example, so now this data may include like the post that this person gives, like posts on social media, and like the comment that this person posts what this person likes, and the comments that this person likes, and the user biography. You find someone on their user biography, they're like dog lover, you know. So that means that this person actually really love dogs, you know. So I'm going to use all this data and put it in or use it in my recommender system, and I will design the recommender system so that it can recommend to the sender of the gift that this person actually really loves dogs, for example, and I would recommend to you buy for them a dog, but you'll find, okay, depending on your budget, yeah, it will be like a dog or things related to dogs, for example, yeah. So maybe you buy like maybe a chew toy or something because this person actually really loves dogs, you know. So now so this system will help reduce the gifting anxiety, give us help when picking out the ideal gift for someone, and it will also reduce the time and energy used to find the perfect gift, and it will also convey like the message that you actually want to give when you're giving a gift. Because sometimes you find that like you do something, maybe you can give someone a gift and then that person finds it quite insulting, you know, like depending on what they're giving them. So yeah, so that's my project idea.
Okay, thank you very much. I think I had already given a suggestion, which is good. Now, something else I'm thinking of. Sorry, I'm changing my. Why don't you, in the recommender system, why don't you also focus on, in addition to probably, I think last time I said that probably you could base, the tweet and so on, but what if you also focus on the
personality?
the personality, but also you focus on the customized message. Like for instance, if someone has been chatting this week about like a particular thing, that a phrase that they have actually been chatting about, or a particular topic that they're chatting about, then you develop an automated message that will actually personalize that kind of thing. But I don't know how you can do that in text classification.
Okay, what I intend on using it will be image processing. Like I intend to use images mostly on my project. So I'll mainly I won't be I don't intend on using Twitter.
Text, yeah.
And Instagram, they're more like, it's more of like pictorial, like there are more photos that you like. So now, yeah, so that's what I intend to do. But I can put your advice into consideration.
So like the images, now you will annotate, like, yeah, like for instance, if you have an image and then now how will you determine whether the person liked, like for instance, if someone sent me a dog, how will you determine my emotion at that particular point, whether I liked that or not?
So now, with Instagram, like for example, if you see a photo that you like, you just double click it and then it will like it, yeah? So basically that's the data that I'll be collecting when I put in your Instagram like username. You know, I'll be checking on the last maybe 20 images that you liked, something like that. So then if they are related, like that is when I can be able to actually say that this person actually really likes dogs, because I'll be seeing that you've liked a photo of a dog.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then maybe then yeah, so the dog, I might like the dog, but then like the dog because it is reminding me of a particular funny message or something like that. But I don't actually like dogs. I don't know whether you get my point.
Yes,
so
I
maybe
get
then to get, maybe you could do an image, how do you call it? Like there's a lot of, I think there are some works that have been done on the emotions as related to the images.
Okay.
Or then, so that then the whatever that you're producing actually will tie with what the person is giving. And then maybe for the application part, you could think of, this could be, I guess you're thinking of the applying this to people who supply gifts, like Parpink. You know Parpink?
Yes.
Yeah, so maybe like to do an extension to, like they can have now the recommender system, but also you could think of an like you see the customized, like for instance, if you are if you are giving them, like for instance, if you are sending someone a cake, then you see if you have already the customized, like for instance, you have the images of what they like, they have been liking to the month leading to their birthday, then you can actually engrave that. I don't know, you can do a concoction of the images and stuff like that, and then give a 3D or more focused, augmented reality or something like that, so that then it enhances like how the image is going to look like, or how the thing is going to look like, the gift is going to look like, so that then the person who wants to send the gifts can actually review it and see it as if it is here in touch. Because most of the time, the gifts that the gift shop will give And since it's normally in the African custom, it's normally maybe a surprise. So you don't actually get to see it sometimes, but then until it's delivered. So yourself, the person who is sending, and the person who is sending doesn't get to see what actually is sending until it is delivered. So if you can give that perspective also, that I can be able to do a 3D kind of check, but then with that customized information. Anyway, I'm just trying to, or probably it can be applied in the real world market.
Okay.
That sounds okay.
It sounds like something I'd like to read on.
Yeah, I think you can just read around there. I guess you have a lot of, other than the lectures, maybe you have a lot of time, or you don't.
I can find time.
Yeah, so you can try to check around that area and then see how things move. Otherwise,
Okay,
thank you very much for the presentation. It's quite well done.
Thank you.
Next is, I think I will take a small break of 10 minutes after the next person. So Jesse. Jesse, are you there? Anti-poaching IoT. Yes, I can.
Okay, just a minute. I'm trying to present.
Are you using a phone? No.
No.
You're on a laptop?
Yeah.
Good.
Okay. So my project was trying to curb poaching using IoT. Yeah, so poaching has been...
Just go straight to the solution. Don't give so much background.
So my project tries to curb poaching using IoT, and the technology I was trying to use was thermal imaging. So I was trying to use thermal imaging because of infrared. Infrared has longer wavelengths than those of visible light. So you'll find in most game reserves, they find the animals have been killed mostly at night. And that's because the game rangers normally don't patrol the game reserves at night. So I was trying to use infrared to enable the game rangers to patrol the to monitor and patrol the game reserve during both day and night. And since infrared works on the principle of emission of radiation, it senses the heat released by humans. The normal body temperature that you have emits some radiation, and the radiation can be able to be detected by infrared. And so when the poachers use their vehicles and guns, once the shots are fired and once they move around the vehicles, it enables them to be captured more easily because the vehicles and the weapons emit radiation. And so you can apply it in two ways. You can install the cameras at a specific point, or you can have them mobile, such that the game rangers are able to move around with the cameras. So if you're having them installed, it includes a unit for processing that processes the data and verification before before the signal is sent to the operations room. So that means is, for example, animals also have they also have the body temperature. So to enable the differentiation between an animal and a poacher or an unwanted person in the park, image processing is used of the thermal images generated by the camera. But the image processing here doesn't specifically identify the poacher itself. It just recognizes it's a human. So once the camera verifies it's a person, the images and signal are sent to the operations room via GSM, because it's remote. It's in a remote location. So there has to be a way of it transmitting the data back to the operations room. So the data is sent to the operations room via GSM, that triggers an alarm, and then it notifies the game rangers. So the game rangers, after receiving the signal, they're sent to monitor the area where the camera is located. Yeah. And as I've said, image processing will help differentiate between the animals and the people.
Yeah, but thanks. I think this sounds quite good. The only thing I have is, why don't you, because I think it's very difficult to differentiate between humans if you are looking at okay, first of all, it's not, I don't think it's viable to have cameras everywhere. Why don't you use drones? So if you have the drone technology, then it can go around over the forest, because we are talking about in the park where they do the poaching. The aspect is that it is quite messy. Actually, it's quite most of the time you have many vegetation and so on, and cover and all that kind, because the animals have to hide. So why don't you use the drone technology? And then the second point is, I think it might not be viable for you to differentiate animals, because anyway, sorry to say, because well, if you follow the evolution theory, not the whole of it is true, but basically even the classification, the dichotomous key and all those kind of aspects, the classification of animals, like so you have the animals. There are some animals that are closer to humans, or more or less in the same mammalian kind of whatever. So I guess if you are trying to differentiate using images and so on, then they will hide. But if you use just only the metal, like you have a metallic, like their guns will radiate something, or I'm sure they will love to shoot to scare the animals, or if you can just try to detect where the metals are, and then you can be able to detect where the vehicles are, or where they are carrying these metals, and then where there is a concentration of metals, then you can be able to actually geolocate that particular place, and then maybe then the anti-poaching unit can be able to identify them. So I think I don't know how easy it is. I think in 2018, we had a conference where one of the tutorials, or rather the pre-conference workshop, was on developing of drones. But then I don't think you need just to develop, maybe just to program and connect with what your detection of the metals, that is the guns and so on, because these guys will be moving with guns, and so that then, and the geolocation of that particular place, and then you put this into your drone, and then you are able to get that. I don't know whether that's possible. Just wondering.
Yes. Okay, when I said cameras, I didn't mean that the whole game reserve will be like monitored or installed with cameras. There are those specific species those poachers tend to hunt, like rhinos and elephants, because of their ivory. Because animals like wild beasts and stuff, they're not normally hunted down. They're just maybe hunted down for food purposes, but not for illegal wildlife trafficking. And then you said the animals normally hide, but the purpose of infrared, it only detects the objects with heat signatures. So even if a person is behind a tree cover, it's able to trace down the person despite him being behind a tree. But I could also consider using drones, but I don't think the drones will be monitoring the area 24/7. It will be only a specific time.
Yeah, but like for instance, if you release a drone, you see that the thing of not making it, because you saw also you don't want it to be deterministic. Like if you install, the animals move depending on seasons, and then they are always on the move, more or less, because they don't have a house. So if you make it deterministic, then the poachers will know that this is where they, because remember they are also on working on what internal information, because those guys are actually the major thing is corruption. So the internal system, the anti-poaching unit itself is the ones who are giving the information. So if you keep on changing the way you are patrolling, and since you are doing a virtual patrol, then you can actually be able to get more. What I'm trying to say is that whatever technology that you are using, put it on a mobile kind of an avenue that gives it a mobile vicinity and stuff like that instead of a fixed place.
Okay. Makes sense.
Yes, good. Thank you very much. Then we will go to James. So James is doing a predictive. James, are you there?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, now it's loading, yes. Your network on the other side may be faulty, or it's mine. I don't know.
Can you see it?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay, so my idea was I wanted to create a model, a predictive model that would try and read the buying patterns of customers, so that farmers improve their profits by like giving them an idea of what's selling in the market. Because farmers themselves are like the middlemen usually like take advantage of them because they have no idea of what exactly is happening in the market. And you'll find like most of the time a farmer will have a really good harvest but will make like a fraction of what they really would have made if they had sold all the harvest properly. So I wanted to use machine learning to make a model, use some historical market data that will feed the neural network, so to give them an idea of what crops are being sold better in the market and what to plan on in each season.
So which kind of historical data is this? Like what will they use? What are the attributes, for instance?
Like
what will determine the future price, the future buying pattern?
Or like the type of crops that are being sold frequently, and like what customers are not really buying at, like, let's say, a certain season. And
so
of course,
the total, you'll consider the total volume of maize, let's say, last year.
Yeah, like percentage wise.
I am not like, for instance, I want to predict what will be bought next year, right?
Yes.
So I will use what? I will use the amount of maize that was bought this year, amount of beans bought this year, or what will I use?
Okay, I was trying to think of, I'll try and use the percentage of the amount of maize that was produced this year and the amount that was sold. Try and get the percentage to show, like, to rate the crops of which like best go in the market.
Yeah, but the percentage will not help, because all I need to know is just what I'm trying to wonder is, why can't you just, it doesn't sound very, it needs a lot of machine learning, because all I need to know is how much was consumed last year, and then using last year's consumption, I can hello, you can hear me?
Yes, I'm listening.
I can be able to maybe say that probably that is the same amount that will be needed this year if the population has not increased or decreased.
Okay, but I'm also trying to solve the fact that most farmers don't usually get the what can I say, the profits worth of their products. Like, they're usually taking advantage of the middlemen. So this will help them, like, know the actual prices of what the goods go for in the market.
Yeah, but then you don't need to, that's what I'm trying to wonder, because all you need to know is probably to connect the I'm saying, like, if you want to help farmers, then you just need to have like, you know, the way we have the what is this the shops that deliver, what is the name of this online shop, like Jumia kind of.
Yes.
But now for farmers, so that then now you can be able to link the two in terms of ordering and whatever, and then you can be able to determine the market, because agricultural products are determined by not actually demand and supply, but by the link to them from the supplier to the buyer. Then you can determine the price at that point. Or another possibility is, if you look at it like even the Uber business, you see Uber links the supplier driver with the consumer, who is the person wanting to take a taxi, and then Uber determines how much you charge, and then they grade you how you provided the service. So like, you will rate them, you say this person was rude, so the car was dirty, and then the other guy also will, so if you do something like that, that can enable the farmers maybe to sell, and then they can be able to, people can be able to buy, or like, for instance, get to know that this is a supply, because the amount you might produce like 10 tons, but then as opposed to last year's 50 tons. If I was to focus, I will actually focus on the other aspects of connecting the farmers as opposed to determining the percentage of the production compared to what was sold.
So I should focus on trying to connect them on the best suppliers.
Yeah, maybe like for instance, we could have like for instance, you could have a way in which you can be able to determine, like for instance, if it is tomatoes, right?
Yes.
So if I take a photo of a particular tomatoes, then this kind of, this is the way they look like right now, then maybe I can determine how long will they take to go bad or something like that. But then I can be able to order as if I was in the marketplace. Like for instance, instead of me going, like right now we can't move to Kinangop or we can't go to Nyeri to buy those potatoes that we need now. But if you can have a system that basically helps you to link, that could be a good one. Another alternative will be although this one has really been done overdone, is to get the other factors that determine the supply, which is weather and so on, and then use that to determine what will be the production, or what will be needed in the market in like 1 year's time. So that there are two, I'm seeing like there are two possibilities of looking at it. So maybe you can do a bit of review of what has been done before.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Then I wanted to take a break, but I think let's do 2 more, because so you can be loading David. So we'll have David and then Madenge. David, Lona, and then Madenge. So just David, are you there?
Yeah, I'm there. Hello.
Hello.
You can hear me. Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Are you able to do a projection?
Just a minute. Hello, can you see?
Yes, go ahead, yes.
So I'm trying to do a project on sentiment analysis for hate and trolling detection on Twitter. So my problem statement is hate speech has been a problem, basically cyberbullying has been a problem in Kenya social media platform for quite some time. So you see, like right now, so many people have been trolling social media, especially Twitter. Kenyans on Twitter are so harsh on people. For example, a person like Mulamwa recently quit his job because of trolling. So I'm trying to do a project on detection, which will help so many people curb this issue. So you see, in Kenya, there is this NCIC, which is trying to monitor hate speech in Kenya in social media by web crawlers. But then these web crawlers, it will collect text from social media platforms, and then people will have to monitor the collected text manually by. So it will be cumbersome for so many people because it's quite time consuming. So I'm trying to develop this model that will apply data science and machine learning to just automatically classify tweets as either hate speech or cyberbullying or not. So I'll be using a text binary classifier to detect hate speech on Twitter, which I'll basically build a corpus of words from the tweets. I'm working on getting an API from Twitter that will be helping me to get real-time tweets. But I'll not use the real-time tweets only, since the real-time tweets we are given only 7 days. So in the 7 days, basically you cannot. Sometimes there cannot be any cyberbullying within 7 days, so you have to get historical data. So I'm working on getting other data from somewhere. So I'll be able to classify I'll use SVM. SVM is support vector machine, which I'll model it and train it to validate based on the labeled text that I created. Yeah, so I'll be using this. I learned about something called background pictures, which I'll be able to determine the best classification performance and get a good data and get a good output that will either classify the text as either hate speech or not hate speech. Yeah, so that's basically my project proposal.
Okay. But maybe how do you determine that there is bullying or not? The one of hate speech it's quite easy, because then you know some words that are not good. But the bullying one, how will you determine? Because most of the words they will use are not actually negative as such.
So I'm targeting because language will be an issue. I'm targeting only Kenyans. So Kenyans on Twitter mostly use Shell, but which will be an issue, which will be quite an issue now. But I'm only targeting the English and Kiswahili word. So the English and Kiswahili word will be quite easy, since I'll be using I love to build an SVM machine, support vector machine, which I'll be able to train it I'll be able to model it first, then train it to validate based on the label text. So the label text will be the corpus that I obtained some data from Fabric, which will be able to classify. It will be able to take some words from the tweets. Let's say a word like.
Yeah, I think you maybe, yes, yeah. David, maybe you are just what I was asking is actually the data. Like, for instance, it is not easy for you to determine a bullying. Like, for instance, it could be just a repetition of the same statement, but normally those statements that they hello.
Hello, I can hear you.
Yeah, so the statements that they give, maybe that's something that you could consider in your work. The statements that they give in social bullying are not negative. That's the problem that you are likely to face. So you can see how will you distinguish, what are the characteristics that you will use to be able to distinguish or even label in your data that this is bullying and this is not bullying, because the difference between bullying and hate speech is that hate speech, they will use some prerogative, like kind of negative words, like they will be abusive, they will they will use some terms that, but in bullying is basically a consistent pressure on someone based on the statements that they have made until, and normally those words in the semantic form, they are not negative. So that's something that you could try to see how you can struggle that. So let's go to Lorna. You can end the presentation, David.
Morning.
Good morning.
I share my screen.
I think, David, you need to end. David, end your presentation, or I can take over and then. Okay. Good. Go ahead.
My project is about an IoT-based accident detection and reporting system. So the problem statement: car accidents are mostly caused by drunk driving, breaking speed limits, and reckless driving, among others. And many deaths happen as a result of delayed first aid treatment from hospitals, and the public is held responsible for calling the police or the ambulances from different hospitals. So my proposed solution is an IoT-based car accident detection and reporting system that will use sensors such as an accelerometer sensor to detect an accident before occurrence, such that the sensor will measure how fast the car is moving and if it is safe for the driver to continue driving. Then it's going to have a GSM module that will send messages about the location to the rescue team or to the police, and it's going to use a GPS module so that the rescue team or the ambulances can trace the location of the accident. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. This now I'm thinking of another perspective to this. So you want to detect when an accident has occurred, but some accidents maybe are not major.
Well, the sensor is there to help the driver gauge whether the car is safe in terms of whether an accident might occur because of them speeding or something like that.
What if you tweaked your project in such a way that it can be used by police or insurance companies to determine who was on the wrong? Like, for instance, the way when you take a photo of the way the police come and then they measure and then they say you are on the wrong.
Yeah.
So like for instance, depending on the position that the car is.
Yes.
So like for instance, if you do a live photo on the front or whatever, I just something that I'm thinking.
Yes.
Then you using your machine learning or your algorithm
Yes.
or particular method. I guess there is a lot of data on if the position is this degrees and then this other one is this degrees. The person who was on the wrong was, in fact, I think it's possible to know the speed, who was on a high speed, depending on the shape or the way the vehicle is as a, so that then this can be an automatic way of determining who was on the wrong, to be used by the insurance companies and so on. Because in Kenya, it might be a bit complicated or difficult to actually have the thing installed in your vehicle, because I think people tend to comply than to prevent. So like right now we are wearing masks. I guess even most of you are wearing masks not because you want to prevent COVID-19, but because you fear the police.
Yeah.
So, but then if you can, I don't know whether it's possible to a situation whereby you can actually have an objective way of measuring who was on the wrong, or what speed they were going at, or something like that.
The data used from the accelerometer sensor. It was going to be used in investigation of an accident to show who was speeding or something like that. But I didn't look at it from the police point of view.
Yeah, I think you could look at it from also the police point of view, and they remember that if we can't use, like for instance, we can't use what is internal in your vehicle to determine, because then that means that everyone has to install that, right? Yeah, so that might not be the case unless now we pass a law that says everyone has to have, even the matatus that are supposed to have the speed limits, I don't think nowadays they have. So anyway, it's something that you could look at. Maybe like the images when they are taken and then they are sent automatically to the insurance provider, and then the insurance can actually base those images and the geolocation that you are talking about to see if they need to process the claim or not. Okay, thank you very much. So let's hear the last one, Madenge. Are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
Can you see my screen?
I think not yet.
Now?
Yeah, it's loading.
Okay. So I'll just begin. So my project idea is about text mining of research papers for trend analysis and summarization for mass dissemination. So let's start with the problem. So there are over 2.5 million research papers that are published every year.
I don't know what has happened. I can't see, or the rest can see. I can't see your presentation. Okay, fine. Now that's okay.
Okay. So there are over 2.5 million research papers that are published every year across the globe by various universities, research institutions, and NGOs. Which is good because it
you can
shows
just go
that
straight to the solution.
Okay. So these are so many papers, yeah, to go through. So I propose a solution to come up to develop a text mining platform that will monitor the research trends, to summarize the relevant and insightful research, and then relate to the public. So the way this will be done will be using technologies such as web embedding, which will allow me to actually like scan these papers and to actually get the semantic meaning behind these papers, what these papers are all about, and then using NLP frameworks, I'll be able to actually summarize this data and conduct some trend analysis. So the impact of this is that it will allow researchers and students to stay up to date with the latest developments in their field in a convenient and useful manner, and also keep track of trends in research to allow anyone to position themselves for the future. So if there are any developments in, let's say, the machine learning field, they can position themselves to learn those things and then actually create a product or an enterprise around it. That's the idea.
Yeah, but what will be different from Google Scholar, ResearchGate, because that's what they do.
Well, when conducting research, especially, like, you find that since you're a researcher, this is actually what you do for a living. However, for most people, going through research papers, very many research papers like those would be quite difficult. So many people just want a quick glimpse of what's happening in the field, and that's what I'll be providing.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that's what ResearchGate does, or Google Scholar, because they summarize. Like if you are interested in machine learning, for instance, then they will give you relevant kind of works that have been done in this particular, and then they do matching of the text. And
okay,
so I think maybe you need to relook at the technical side sounds okay, but the problem, I think, has a little bit of you need to look for a problem that you can actually manage to give a bigger contribution than what is existing.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you very much. So I think we will. That is. Maybe I was too ambitious. But anyway, so I think we have managed to do a bit like 10 or 11. Now I don't know. So I find so from the presentation, actually presenting on online seems to be a little bit faster than when we are in class, because when you are in class you need to do the cable change and all that kind of aspects. So this is one of probably the units that is not so much affected by the lack of face-to-face, but I guess the other units, how are you finding the presentations so far? Just your views. Hello? General comments, how can we improve, especially for this unit first? Hello? Any comments on what is going well, what is going bad? So Fandy is asking, is it possible to use any other platform other than Skype? Yes, I think we can move. I'm actually looking forward to, I'm told that the Google Meet is trying to change some things so that it will be very nice. That is the one that I'm looking forward to. Then the other tools, I don't know, we could use Zoom, or Teams. Okay, so we could have Teams and Jan. Teams is a great platform. Yeah, that we could try it. Teams. Zoom. The only problem I have is the current issues of security and stuff like that. But I think I will prefer either to use the Microsoft or to go to G apps, specifically Google's, or if Microsoft styles up a bit, the Teams is up perfect, then I think we'll try to go there. Victor, you're saying let's use something everyone can access. Linux, MS Teams through Linux, that will be good. Okay. And then Cosmos. So I think the only option we have probably is to use Zoom, but I have a personal dislike for Zoom. But anyway, maybe I can change my dislike for the sake of that, because of the security issue, but also, yeah. So maybe we can use okay, I think maybe we could consider Teams for now, or Zoom. If maybe we create an account that we can actually use a bit more easily, then that will be fine. Good. Any other comments that you guys might be having? So how are the other, I think we are supposed to meet, but how are the other online or rather virtual classes going on? Anything that you guys think we can do better? Hello? Can I unmute? Yeah, you can unmute, Joseph.
First off, good morning.
Good morning.
I think personally, so far with these online classes, there's a tendency to try to cram as much as was put into actual physical classes on these online platforms, which at times tends to be a bit difficult.
So it's
Like
the
someone has 2 hours, like some sort of content overload.
Yeah. Content, like you feel like there is so much delivery on the content as opposed to practical application, or what?
Yes, as opposed to practical application.
What do you think we could do?
Okay, at times, for example, a lecturer could go and start the theory part of whatever he's teaching and switch into practical towards the end of the lesson, like with 5 minutes left. So he would try and rush through it, and you might not get everything. So you might not be able to understand everything. So instead of doing that, how about just doing enough theory and enough practical, meaning you do not have to cover all the theory you plan to cover for that day, as long as students have not understood what is going on. And so, and you know, here the transition, that is getting back to the lecturer and telling him, oh, I haven't understood. It's not as smooth as being in class and just lifting up your hand. So those things tend to make this learning difficult.
Will separating the two help? Because I know currently you have 2 sessions, like you have 1 session for theory kind of, and then another one for practical, or they are combined?
No, they usually, okay, I think it depends on the lecturer too, because you could find someone who takes the whole theoretical approach all the way and then leaves you in the dark for the practical, or you have someone who would do practical or the theory first and then towards the end of the lesson fits in a practical.
So it will be good if probably half a half kind of?
Half a half,
or,
yes. Half
or
a half.
to go by your pace kind of?
Sorry?
To go with the pace of the class, like for instance, if I don't know which units you're doing now machine learning, you're doing IoT, I think.
Yes. So to go with the pace of the class.
Like if you have not understood artificial neural network, you just go until you finish the artificial neural networks, depending on the time. Okay, fine. I think that's I don't know. Will it work better if? And how are you able to present? Like, how are you able to get like the individual work being assessed? Like, for instance, if you have developed, you're doing innovation also or whatever. How are you able to show like your code or to be able to present what we used to do during the physical class?
Okay, so far we haven't done any presentation besides these ones we're doing here. But then for like machine learning, we've been using Google Colab. So
yeah.
I think in the event we need to share our code, it would be easy to do it from there or just GitHub.
Okay. Fine. I think we are trying to see if the possibility of I think we had there was a meeting, I think, with the class reps. Yesterday, one of the issues that was being raised, especially from the IT, is that I think the groups are too big, such that then when the people ask or presentation, the personalized attention is not. Vanessa, were you there? Who was there in the meeting? We had some people from this class, I guess. So one of the issues that we are trying to sort out is basically to take you back for these practical courses, maybe to take back to the normal groups. I think for your case you had 2 groups, so we are trying to break it into 2 groups, and then but also the online thing, I think there's fatigue also because of the lecturers also, if they stay for if we have too many groups also, it is a bit strenuous for them. But so we are trying to get back, we'll be getting back, we'll be getting back to 2 groups at least for the 4th years, so that then I think if and when you guys start issues to do with like maybe they can be a personalized kind of thing, we can try to see if that can improve. I think Raj, you are the one who asked kind of the question, I think. I don't remember. So that is one of the things that we'll try to do. I don't know whether that will sort out partly this 120, 130. In your case, I think you are about 100. Right now, I think I have a full house, 104 participants. So that is one of the things that we could try to see if that could help. I think you are, feel free to give us maybe other like in terms of the structure of the class, because this issue of staying in front of, you're having a class of 2 continuous or the whole morning, then maybe then that screen fatigue can come in. So feel free also to give us input in terms of timetabling. What will you want us to do? To do a block, to do 2 and then space or whatever, something like that. So that's something that we like also to have. Okay. Fantastic. So any other issue? Probably any suggestions that I can end? So I think I can have so we we will try to, I think this is becoming a bit so we'll try to see if we can be able to adapt whatever that can be able to fit into the scenarios. So that I will ask you to just give me your student number and name again. So if you can do that, then I think we can call it a day. So I will review through all the abstracts and the abstract and title, and then the next week we'll do a similar kind of thing. So I'm just following the order in which you actually submitted. So these are the people who submitted, I think, on on 28th, 29 up to 1st, I think, of May. So we'll continue with the rest of the people in terms of the presentation. Okay. And then I will upload according to the chose, and then of course sometimes you might have chosen a particular supervisor, but then the person has sufficient, but otherwise I will allocate you according to the supervisor you chose. So unless if he's not available, then I will try to ask those who don't have to choose the ones whom they will want to have who have no supervisors. So that's how I will assign the supervisors. Good enough to everyone? Has everyone posted the number? Number and name? I was trying to make us as just a simple script that just combines this list and then to the group and all that kind of aspect, so that then I don't have to ask you to give me the group. Okay. So if you have posted your your registration number and name, then I think that is where we can end. Now, so we are meeting we are going to meet all these groups, and then we keep on the conversation in terms of, because remember this is a new approach that we are using. We have not been in this kind of emergency teaching or remote teaching, so we would like to really engage you continuously. So we are going to have a meeting with all of you, I think all the 4th years, and at 2nd years, the 3rd years the same. And then we'll also have a similar meeting with your parents for FIT. I think it's scheduled on Thursday. So I guess you'll be getting information from the administrators today on so that then you give us the contact of your parents. We can have in regards to the current scenario that we have. Good. Good, so you're free to leave if you have already given me your number.